Hi guys, this is Volta. I wanted to give you a sketchbook tour of this particular sketchbook and also discuss the 100-day project. So last year I did the 100-day project and I decided to do portraits. So I started out here, and even though it took me a while to get through these, so it took me about a year to actually finish, and I only got to 90 portraits or so. But I did learn quite a bit, and so I just wanted to share a couple of things that I've learned through this process. So starting off with my first sketches, I didn't really know what I was doing. I guess, so my theme was to do portraits, but I had no idea in the type of portraits I would do or what kind of medium I would use. So I just started with, a simple pen and then adding some fun backgrounds to my sketches. And I really embraced this idea. So doing the portraits was really challenging because I have not done a lot of portraits before, and so this was a new experience for me. But I thought, well, this is challenging and it kind of sucks. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll add a fun part to it. And I started adding these backgrounds. And so one thing that I would recommend doing is, if you do find yourself with starting a new challenge, you could make it a little easier on you and a little fun by adding, that one fun element. So for me, that was just adding the fun backgrounds. And actually later you'll see that while going through my sketchbooks, it eventually turned into food. And so it didn't take me too long to turn into food, because this sketch of Pablo Neruda actually has lemons all around it. So yeah, I wanted to share that. And then so with the portraits, this was my very first time doing them, and I didn't really have a method, but I actually, put forth the effort of, well, I want to get better at portraits, so what do I need to do? And I started looking up different tutorials, and with time, my style started to change. So instead of, going straight to pen, which I really enjoy doing, I think the pencil and the erasing can hold you back a little bit sometimes. But here I just want it to be free. But actually this was the one time where I had to rely on my pencil because I was still learning the particular proportions and how to draw a face. So by watching different tutorials online, I learned kind of the basic structure of how, actually these portraits, I still haven't started learning that yet, but in the later portraits, so something similar like here, the Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, I actually, divided her face into three different parts and had a line through, and then measured, the distance between the eyes and all that. So eventually I started doing that, and of course that required using a pencil. And but that was totally okay, because I would later go in with either, sketch it with watercolor, or go in with a waterproof pen and then add watercolors. So another thing that I learned through this challenge is, well, obviously, I could have taken forever with each sketch, trying to get it to its absolute perfection, but I chose this particular sketchbook, which I believe is Alpha from Stillman and Bren, and it's the Alpha series. I'll link it to it in the comments, but so this isn't a particularly thick paper, and it's great for like quick sketches and a couple of watercolor layers, but not a lot. And the reason why I wanted to choose that instead of, a thick watercolor paper is so that I wouldn't spend too much time tinkering with these. So I wanted to kind of, get the most I could out of each sketch, but then just kind of, know that eventually or pretty soon I have to stop, because if I keep adding any more layers, it would just damage the paper, and then it would come through onto the other side. So, and then another thing that I liked about, or I wanted to keep about this challenge, was the sizing. So as you see, I try to keep it fairly small, and I separated each page into 2 parts, so that I could have many different portraits on here. And pretty quickly, so I started off with just, with the idea I want to get better at sketching portraits, but what it quickly turned out to be was that I wanted to incorporate food with the portraits. And really, like I mentioned before, this was me trying to cope with the challenge of producing basically shitty work. I mean, this challenge was called 100 Shitty Portraits, and I called it that because I wanted to have fairly low expectation of myself, because, well, I know I suck at this. This is something I want to get better at, so obviously they're not going to be great portraits. They're going to be pretty shitty. And so you can see that in order to cope with that challenge, I started adding fun elements like food. So, for example, this is Elvis Parsley. This is Whoopi Pie Goldberg. A Cheese and Zari. Harry Cherry Styles, and so on. So this was quite a fun project, because I got to play around with food puns and, tackle this challenge. This is Mindy Kaling. But along the way, I also got to, incorporate some creativity in it by finding celebrities and finding food puns that would work with their names. This is Ken Watanabe's Lorelai Gilmore, and then the others. So yeah, so you can see that my style really changed from the very first one, where I tried to do 2 self-portraits, which were so shitty. They're all done in pen, no really planning, and I wasn't doing any drills or trying to practice anything or proportions. I didn't know anything about that. And eventually that turned into this, where my style changed a little bit, whereas I would just, use the pen. It was heavy on the using a fountain pen with this, but I decided to just forego that and sketch out my shapes, the faces, and then paint them with watercolors on top, and then have the fun patterns in the background. So this over here is Ice Cream Conan O'Brien and Yogurt Cobain. Socrates, because get it, he drinks tea, and then Napoleon Dynamite as my last one. So I only got to 90 portraits, but I feel really good about these because it was a great challenge, and I can see that I definitely improved in my portrait skills. Now I have a while to go. I know, there's always room for improvement, but it was still nice to see the progression. So another reason, to do these 100-day challenges is to just see how you can evolve over time. This did take me over a year to complete, so I didn't do it in 100 consecutive or 90 consecutive days, but it was still nice to do, and it still shows progress. So I hope you give it a try. Let me know in the comments if you happen to try on the 100-day challenge this year and what your hashtag is, and I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. Thank you.